is weird, odd, strange, or just plain bizarre is really your cup of tea, then the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast will give you that fix. Can't believe it? Well, listen for yourself as we deliver the strangest news you definitely won't find on CNN or Fox. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Weird News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Emily Ferrier, here to bring you my favorite weird news stories of the past few days. So starting us off this week, doctors pled with embarrassed hemorrhoid sufferers not to put frozen potatoes in their bums. Shouldn't be something that doctors are telling them not to, right? But, this one is an old wives' tale. This is advice I never thought I'd have to give. But, so yeah, doctors are warning not to put frozen potatoes in your bums. Not as like, a fetish thing, but it's been rumored that's a home remedy for hemorrhoids. To tackle it without medical advice. The tuber acts as a soothing astringent, right? And is what it said online, and another online website encouraged readers to freeze a whole potato slice and leave it in for 30 seconds. And then repeat the process for 3 to 5 days. But doctors are urging them not to follow that, and instead to seek actual medical advice when faced with these. Dr. Diana Gull told The Sun that many people try dangerous home remedies for embarrassing conditions rather than face a medical professional. Piles can be irritating condition, and sufferers are sometimes too embarrassed to get professional help, turning to old wives' tales instead. There is no medical evidence that putting frozen potatoes inside the anus can cure piles, so I would encourage caution to anyone thinking of doing it, she says. Piles often go away on their own after a few days, but there are some tried and tested ways to keep them at bay. Hemorrhoids are a common ailment, which often affect women during pregnancy. They're often the result of long spells of sitting down, constipation, and a low-fiber diet, and obesity. Dr. Yale says that she would instead encourage people to drink plenty of fluids, maintain a fiber-rich diet, and try having regular warm baths to ease itching and pain. So try those things out first, and definitely don't put anything in your butt that the internet suggested that you do. I think that should probably go without saying, but hey, some people need an extra helping hand. So here are some other weird medical things from the past, that people thought would work out. Dead mouse paste. Who would put a dead mouse in their mouth? The ancient Egyptians, with the hope that doing so would ease toothache pain. In some case, mashed mouse was blended with other ingredients, and the resulting paste was applied to a painful spot. Egyptians weren't the only ones to use mouse cures. In Elizabethan England, one remedy for warts was to cut a mouse in half and apply it to the offending spot. The Elizabethans also ate mice, fried or baked in pies. Mice were also used to treat whooping cough, measles, smallpox, and bedwetting. I wonder how that one worked. The best treatment for stuttering, thought for doctors in the 18th and 19th century, was to cut out half of the stutterer's tongue. So what do you do with someone that's already nervous? You threaten to, cut him up. A hemoglossectomy is still used today, but as a treatment for oral cancer. And it's done under general aesthetics, which wasn't the case back then. So the treatment didn't work, obviously, and some patients bled to death. So it's good that they kept trying, Clysters, the archaic word for enemies, are thought to be used since ancient times. They were particularly fashionable from the 17th through 19th centuries. Wealthy people used them to treat constipation, which enemas can help as a variety of other complaints for which they are useless. Typical clyster might involve warm water mixed with salt, baking soda, or soap. Some doctors added coffee, bran, herbs, honey, or chamomile to the mix to wash out your bum. In high society, enemas became enormously popular, with aristocratic hypochondriacs taking several enemas a day. Louis XIV of France is said to have had 2,000 enemas. 17th century medicine can seem a bit crazy to modern people, but nothing wackier than Sir Kenelm Digby's powder of the symphony. The powder was intended as a treatment for a very specific injury, rapier wounds. It's made of earthworms, pig's brains, iron oxide, and bits of mummified corpses ground into powder. Powder was applied to the wound itself, not to the wound itself, but the offending weapon. Digby thought that the strange concoction would encourage the wound to heal itself, a process called sympathetic magic. Arsenic, which is a well-known poison, for centuries was used as a medicine. In traditional Chinese medicine, arsenic is known as Fai Sheng. Arsenic was a key ingredient to many patent medicine, including Fowler's solution, a purported cure for malaria and syphilis, in use from the late 18th century until the 1950s. Another arsenic-containing patent medicine, Donovan's solution, was used to treat arthritis and diabetes. Victorian women also used arsenic as a cosmetic. Moldy bread has been used to disinfect cuts as far as back in ancient Egypt. Louis Pasteur famously discovered certain fungi are known to block the growth of disease-causing bacteria, like penicillin, so it's actually not that crazy. In medieval Europe, doctors often diagnosed their patients on the basis of a uroscopy. Sounds scientific, but really, all it really was looking at the patient's urine. Holding a flask of urine against the light was as much as a symbol of medicine in medieval times as a white coat and stethoscope today. Some patients delivered a sample in person, while others sent the sample. Doctors would observe the urine, smell it, and even taste it by times. So be thankful we don't live back then. When we come back, we've got some weird fast food news and some of the history of that when we return from the break.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
All right. Welcome back. So we just heard about a lot of weird old cures for various ailments that luckily we don't use anymore. Very archaic stuff. And now Dunkin' Donuts has its latest release it's a bag of bacon, guys. Dunkin' Donuts has released a bag of bacon. They're not even trying anymore, are they? A bag of bacon. Are you hungry in the morning? Bag of bacon. Probably to cater to some of the keto customers that otherwise would get nothing at Dunkin' Donuts. So that's fair. So I wanted to bring to you a bunch of bizarre fast food items that are just insanely over the top and quite frankly despicable. So enjoy. Taco Bell announced it was retiring the beloved waffle taco this week, but in the same breath revealed a new piece of fast food fusion, the biscuit taco. America isn't the only country trying its hand at fast food experimentation. Strange food mashups premiere regularly throughout the world, but not every attempt at fast food fusion is a success. So here are 16 different international fast food items that don't just cross the line, but they race across it at breakneck speed. Pizza Hut in Hong Kong revealed its flying fish roe salmon cream cheese pizza. So if you're a crust person, get ready for this. One bite of this pizza's edge will unleash oozing cream cheese and fish eggs in your mouth. The pie itself is topped with scallops, crayfish, clams, and shrimp. I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of intrigued by this one. Hot take. This one's great. Burger King in Japan had a Windows 7 Whopper. For the launch of Windows 7 in 2009, Burger King offered a Whopper with 7 patties. And in case you don't know what that means, it's too many patties. That's too many burgers. My arteries are clogged thinking of that. Pizza Hut in the Middle East, Crown Crust Pizza. For some inexplicable reason, Pizza Hut Middle East stuffed mini cheeseburgers and chicken tenders into the Crown Crust Pizza. So, if you've ever seen, oh God, what's that YouTube series with the bacon strips? Well, it'll come to me by the end of this probably. Feels like they were channeling that. You know, where they do all those crazy epic food time? Epic food. Meal food. Epic meal time? Epic meal time. That's the one. They do a lot of disgusting stuff like that. So maybe they're just challenging, each other, themselves, or society. Another Pizza Hut Australia. Hot dog stuffed crust. It's the same deal. Epic meal time, you know? Pizza Hut's Australia hot dog stuffed crust is exactly what it sounds like. It comes with a mustard and ketchup drizzle. So, if you've ever been to a kid's party, you know they always offer pizza or hot dogs. You don't have to choose. In Japan, they had a Kit Kat sandwich. So if you love Kit Kats, you won't love it here. It looks kind of gross when it's garnished with whipped cream and orange peel between two slices of white bread. The First Kitchen chain offers this in Japan for 220 yen, which is about $1.81. McDonald's Japan, the Grakoro burger. During select winters at certain locations, McDonald's has been known to roll out the McRib, but during some seasons in Japan, McDonald's offers the Grakoro burger, which is a breadcrumb crusted patty made of macaroni, shrimp, and a creamy white sauce. Real as it is terrifying, this comes topped with surf and turf, shrimp, calamari, bacon, steak, and sausage. Here we go. Sorry, this is a different one. My bad. Christmas pizza topped with shrimp, calamari, bacon, steak, and sausage, surrounded by a crust packed with dessert creams, cranberry or cinnamon apple, cream cheese filling. So you get your meal and your dessert in one pizza, which is disgusting. Burger King Japan Kuro Pearl Burger. Burger King went to the dark side. This creation comes with black cheese, dyed with bamboo charcoal, and a black bun, and a squid ink onion garlic sauce. So you want your teeth to be dyed like one of the Pirates of the Caribbean. That's the way to do it. Pizza Hut Singapore. A double-decker pizza. So it sounds pretty dope, right? But the second layer has turkey and ham rolls and mango mayonnaise. So, don't get too excited. Wendy's Japan, lobster and caviar burger. Wendy's in 2012 premiered this burger, which comes with a lobster claw and a sprinkle of caviar. Too fancy for Wendy's, Be where you are. McDonald's in Switzerland, has a burger that consists of pork sausage curled onto a potato pancake patty and topped with bacon. KFC Philippines, the Double Down Dog, in January of 2015, they premiered this special promotion, which is basically just a hot dog wrapped on a fried chicken bun. Meat with meat. Gross. Wendy's Japan had a foie gras burger for $16. Again, too fancy. Oh, and here's back to Dunkin' Donuts, baby. A Dunkin' Donuts China dried pork and seaweed donut. So, if you want a meal, but you want a donut, dried pork and seaweed. Look at that. We've come full circle the way back to Dunkin'. What I'm saying is, bag of bacon, it's weird. And hot take, kind of lazy. When we come back, an interesting potential mayor for the city of London, England, when we return.
This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
Welcome back. When we left off, I was disgusting you with some of the old fast food potentials. So, you can thank me for the disgust you just had. And now, we're off to London, England, where Count Binface, a self-proclaimed fearless space warrior who ran against UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson in last year's general election, has announced his plan to run for the mayor of London, vowing to, quote-unquote, take out the trash. Binface, who also ran against Theresa May, the former Prime Minister before Boris Johnson in the 2017 election, under the alias Lord Buckethead, said he's throwing his bid into the ring because the race needed, quote-unquote, shaking up. It's the greatest city on the planet, and I call it the Earth Capital, Binface told the Press Association. As such, it needs people from outside Earth to pay its dues. Mayor of London is a fantastic title in itself, and as someone who already has a title, it suits me down to the ground. You've already had a couple of mayors who people have said, oh God, what have we done? Why not have someone already outlandish before they become mayor instead? It's a solid point. A GoFundMe page is set up for the prospective candidate and already raised about $1,600. Rory Stewart, a former Conservative who ran for the party's leadership, only to be expelled for his opposition to a no-deal Brexit, is running as an independent candidate. He reacted to Binface's announcement with mock horror. No, I was almost winning. Coming to second place, convincing people that Sadiq Khan wasn't really the active mayor we need for the future. Almost there. And now this unstoppable force is coming up on the inside. Sadiq Khan of the Labour Party has been mayor of London since 2016 when he succeeded Johnson, who is now the PM. Khan has frequently clashed with President Trump, who has called the mayor incompetent for a perceived inability to tackle knife crime in the British capital. Last September, when Khan mocked the president for golfing as Hurricane Dorian approached, Trump tweeted, Khan should focus on knife crime, which is totally out of control in London. People are afraid to even walk the streets. I think he's confusing this with Jack the Ripper time London. It's just me. He's a terrible mayor who should stay out of our business, he said. Anyway, if you want to vote Bin Man instead of Sadiq Khan, the mayoral election is held in May 7th, 2020. In honor of this, I decided to give you a list of the weirdest mayors, starting from my home city of Toronto. Toronto Mayor Rob Ford. If you don't know who Rob Ford is, I'm sorry. Rob Ford's erratic behavior and substance abuse continues to surface on a near daily basis in Toronto. So the world is enthralled by the follies and foibles of local leaders. You don't know who Rob Ford is. He's the Toronto mayor who was caught smoking crack. He was a lot. Mayor John Nahr in the capital of Iceland. He's a comedian, punk rock artist, actor, author, dyslexic, and a Jedi Knight. And he's the mayor of the capital city in Iceland. So that's cool. Mayor Radu Mezar in Constantine, the hard partying and very rich mayor of the Romanian town. Goose stepped around with his son in Nazi uniforms during a fashion show in 2009, despite the outfits being illegal in Romania. He later apologized, saying that they were paying homage to Klaus von Stauffenberg, a German officer who tried to kill Hitler. Mayor Harry Balls, formerly of Fort Wayne. There isn't anything particularly remarkable about this mayor of an Indian town except for his unforgettable name, which caused controversy after locals planned to name a civic building after him. Harry Balls. Yep. Mayor Wang Yang of Ningguo, China, in what may be the worst Photoshop disaster in a politician ever. Wang Jun's center attempted to look like he cared about the elderly and failed miserably when he tried to superimpose a tiny elderly lady into the corner of a generic photo of the deputy mayor and some other politicians. It caused an appropriate amount of controversy and a heck of a lot of embarrassment. Mayor Stubbs in Talkeetna, Alaska, this popular feline mayor, has served the city since 1997. She recently survived an assassination by a local dog who was obviously unhappy about the mayor's policies when it came to canines. Mayor Bobby Tufts in Dorset, Minnesota. Sometimes politicians can act like children. And sometimes they are. This 4-year-old has served 2 terms as a mayor of a small town in Minnesota. It's a 4-year-old, 2 terms. I don't really have much to say on that one. Mayor Giulio Cesar Fava Falcino de Mexico, Italy, and Mayor Gerard Lelaine Sapiro in France. Both mayors were masters at a public policy problem solving when local cemeteries were filled to the brim. Both issued decrees to their towns forbidding people from dying. So now they're all immortal, so that's cool, right? A lot of weird things have happened in smaller politics. And bigger, but wow. Right? So that's it for those guys. And when we return, we're going to talk about, we're still in London. We're actually still involved in politics, kind of. British House of Commons. A little secret in the British House of Commons when we return from our break.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC, Invicta FC, Bellator, and one championship. We got the fights covered. It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts. Past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
From British weird politics to weird British politics. Within the wood paneling of a hallway in the British House of Commons, there was a small brass keyhole. Doesn't that sound like the start to a nursery rhyme? It's not. Members of Parliament and staff walked past the tiny hall every day. The rare person who noticed the hole took it for an electrical cabinet. Tiny little hole, you would assume. Enter a team of historians planning a much-needed restoration of the Palace of Westminster, which is the home to the House of Commons and House of Lords. The oldest part of the estate, Westminster Hall, dates back to 1099 and is still in use. The team was at the Historic England Archive, poring over some 10,000 uncatalogued documents relating to the palace, when they found something interesting. Plans for a doorway in the cloister behind Westminster Hall. Back at the palace, they found a tiny keyhole in the wood paneling, just where the plan suggested it would be. They discovered a key, or they had a key made, rather, so that they could open the door. And they discovered a secret passageway that was 360 years old. To say we were surprised is an understatement. We really thought it had been walled up forever after the war, Mark Collins said, Parliament's estate historian. They knew such passage had once existed, but believed it had been filled after the palace was bombed during World War II. Behind the door was a small room with hinges for a door that would have been more than 11 feet high and would have opened up to Westminster Hall. Turns out to be a passageway with a rich history. Investigators studied the ceiling timbers in the room and determined that the trees had been harvested in 1659. That corroborated accounts suggesting that the doorway was created around 1660 for the coronation banquet of Charles II, the king who ruled until 1685. Records indicate that the route was used as part of the coronation process. And was more commonly, by members of Parliament to access the House of Commons chamber that they obviously needed secret access to. Historians say the entrance was used for centuries by figures including Samuel Pepys, Robert Walpole, now regarded as the first British Prime Minister, and William Pitt the Younger. In the passage, the team found more recent artifacts, a graffiti back from 1851. So some cheeky wall dweller. A bricklayer who was restoring the palace years after 1834 had written on the walls in pencil, "This room was enclosed by Tom Porter, who was very fond of Old Ale. Another piece of graffiti read, "These maisons were employed refacing these groins." August 11th, 1851, Real Democrats. Real Democrats suggest the Masons were, that was me being French. The Masons were supporters of the Chartist movement for universal voting rights for men, and to allow for members of parliament who weren't property owners. House of Commons Speaker Lindsay Hoyle paid a visit to the newly discovered passageway and used by his predecessors over centuries. To think this walkway had been used so many important people over the centuries is incredible. I'm so proud of our staff for making this discovery, and I hope this space is celebrated for what it is, a part of our parliamentary history. So another 11 secret hiding spaces in famous places that I wanted to share with you. Thousands of people pass through these every day, unaware that there's a hidden gem inside. So let's start with tiny police station in Trafalgar Square. This one's in London. You can find the London's smallest police station tucked away in the southeast corner of Trafalgar Square. It looks more like a neoclassical TARDIS than a police station. The Lilliputian police station was built in the 1930s to serve as a watch post for Trafalgar Square, a magnet for protesters, rioters, marchers, pigeons, and inside there's only room for a single person. Gustave Eiffel's secret apartment in Paris, France. When the Eiffel Tower opened in 1889 to universal wonder and acclaim, designer Gustave Eiffel soaked up the praise, but that wasn't enough. It was soon revealed that he'd built himself a small apartment near the top of the world wonder, garnering him the envy of Paris elite in addition to his new fame. Eiffel's private apartment was not large but cozy, in contrast to the steely industrial grinders of the rest of the town. The apartment was furnished to simple style dear to scientists. Walls were covered in warm wallpaper, and the furniture included soft chisels, wooden cabinets, and a grand piano. 1,000 feet in the air. Is a secret compartment in the Leonardo da Vinci statue, unveiled in August 19th, 1960. The giant statue of Leonardo da Vinci at Rome's Fiumcino Leonardo da Vinci apartment has greeted visitors ever since. Millions of people have passed over it over the decades, but that wasn't until 2009 that a secret hidden compartment inside the statue was discovered. That year, the statue underwent renovation. One of its workers made a strange discovery, a small hatch, which was located about 30 feet, approximately, in the middle of the statue. The hatch was carefully opened, and inside was 2 parchments, still in perfect condition. Even though the secret of the statue is not widely known, some people can be seen looking the statue up and down with binoculars, much to the amusement of passers-by. Probably wondering what's going on. There is loads more of these, but I only have one time for one more. So, secret apartments in the New York City Public Library. New York City's branch has some hidden apartments, and I can't get into it because it's time to take a break. When we come back, some thoughts that people have had about coronavirus when we return.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. We were talking about some weird hidden places. And I found loads more too, so if we finish this a little bit early, I might chuck them to you at the end of this segment. But right now, 38% of Americans won't drink Corona beer because of coronavirus. Guys, nearly 2 in 5 Americans are refusing to drink Corona beer because of coronavirus outbreak, despite having no connection besides a similar name. CNN reports a new survey conducted by 5W Public Relations found 38% of beer drinkers won't buy Corona under circumstances because of the virus that has infected more than 83,000 people in 60 countries and killed nearly 3,000 people worldwide. Another 14% of respondents who drink Corona say that they wouldn't order one in public, according to a survey of 787 U.S. beer drinkers. Yeah. Guys, if any of you that think that that's the case are listening, it's not. Can't emphasize that enough. There's no question that Corona beer is suffering because of coronavirus. Says Ron Torsane, founder of public relations. Could one imagine walking into a bar and saying, "Hey, can I have a Corona? Pass me a Corona." There's no link between coronavirus and Corona beverages. But the New York Post reports 16% of people surveyed still weren't sure if the two were connected. Online searches for Corona beer virus spiked in early February, but have since declined. So that's good. A rep for Corona from upstate New York, from its upstate New York parent company Constellation Brands said sales have remained strong. There's a lot of misinformation being shared across the media that doesn't match consumer behavior. Maggie Bauman said in a statement, by and large, our consumers understand that there's no linkage between the virus and the beer business. God, I hope so. CNN reports Constellation Brands stock dropped 8% on Thursday. But the entire stock market has declined this week as the spreading virus threatens to derail the global economy. Grim. That was a grim ending of that. University in Albany, related news, is probing reports on coronavirus-themed party. Not the best idea for a party, guys. Not a fun thing that's happening. A New York college is investigating whether an off-campus Corona-themed party violated the student code of conduct. The Asian American Alliance, a student organization at the University in Albany, condemned the party hosted by students last weekend, saying it was insensitive and racist. A statement on the Alliance's Instagram account said that the virus has not only led to mass stereotyping of Asian people, but thousands of deaths across the world now. But now, now since the recording. It's been thousands. A video of the party was briefly posted on the Barstool Albany Instagram. Reports of the video showed a bucket of Corona beers and a person wearing a surgical mask with the caption, "Coronavirus won't stop us from partying." Very insensitive. The theme of this party was distasteful and hurtful and is not representative of U Albany or its 18,000 students, university officials say in a statement on Thursday. Any allegations of conduct of violation will be investigated and addressed to the university's disciplinary process. Pretty awful stuff, guys. Pretty awful stuff. Rude. To bring us back up again, I wanted to bring us back to what we were talking about before the break. A couple of hidden gems, so hidden things that were discovered in historical places or very well-known places. So in Radio City, the music hall's secret apartment, Radio City Music Hall, is one of the jewels of New York's Art Deco crown. Since it opened in 1932, over 300 million visitors show Place of the Nation, or come to show Place of the Nation, and have marveled at its breathtaking elegance. According to legend, to show their appreciation for its talents, the architects of the great performance space decided to give a present to the theater's impresario, Samuel Roxy Rothafel. High up inside Radio City, they built him an apartment, a lavishly detailed Art Deco style apartment at the theater downstairs. After Roxy died in 1936, the apartment lay unused and forgotten, hidden far above the audiences as he used to entertain. No one lives there now, but it remains in pristine condition. Oh, right, and I didn't actually go into great detail about this, but secret apartments in the New York Public Library. So when New York City's branch libraries were first built about a century ago, they needed people to take care of them. Andrew Carnegie had given New York $5.2 million to create a citywide system of library branches. And these buildings were heated by coal. Each had a custodian who was tasked with keeping those fires burning and lived in the library, often with their family. But since the 70s and 80s, the coal furnaces started being upgraded and the library custodians began retiring. Those apartments have been emptying out and the ideal of living in a library has disappeared. Today, there are just 13 apartments left in the New York Public Library system. Some have spent decades empty and neglected. I'd live in one of those for sure. Another New York one. The New Yorker Hotel's giant red sign is often photographed as a city landmark, mostly on account of its name. Yet the history of the building is largely unknown. The New Yorker is filled with untold secrets and forgotten stories, including the beautiful Art Deco tunnel that ran from the lobby to Penn Station, hidden underneath 34th Street. Thousands of tourists and New Yorkers walk by the bustling corner of 8th Avenue and 34th Street, not knowing its remarkable tunnels run underneath the historic hotel. Filled with excess hotel fittings, chairs, carpets, and beautiful Art Deco tiling. So lots of weird stuff going on underneath these historic landmarks that you might not know about, or maybe you do. Maybe you're better than all of us. Okay? I don't know. I don't presume to know you that well. When we come back, as you can probably guess, we're going to do some shower thoughts. Love a shower thought when we return.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. When we left off, we were talking about some weird Art Deco stuff. I mean, we were initially talking about coronavirus, but then we switched it up to leave on a positive note. Anyway, shower thoughts. Gonna go to Reddit for the best shower thoughts. One-armed people are probably so much better at spooning than the rest of us. Oh, yeah. Oh, big time. Nice. Bees die after having sex. So next time you see a bee, remember he's a virgin. Funny. Samwise missed a perfect opportunity to make Frodo the ring bearer at his wedding. Yeah, he did. In Avatar, Jake Sully was promised he'd get a surgery to walk in again after he completed his mission. His society could grow functioning tissue and controlled nerve endings wirelessly well enough to create an avatar. Veteran Affairs is terrible. 134 years into the future. Toilet thought, you know you've been on it for too long when you pee twice. Yeah, get off your phone. If you ever find yourself naked in public, you probably want to cover up your face instead of your privates. No, I'd probably cover up your privates. The Matrix and the Terminator series could theoretically be related in a world where the Skynet wins because it becomes the robot overlords in the Matrix. That one I'm having trouble with. People like to deny science because it's too difficult for them to understand. I don't understand that. Ooh, this is fun. People born on 10-10-10 will turn 10 this year. They won't even appreciate that. Dogs probably don't mind coronavirus quarantine because they get to spend all day with their owners. Oh, that's so sweet. YOLO is a warning not to do anything stupid. True. You could totally take it that way. And I think you should, in fact. You can create an account today and have cake day once every 4 years. Yeah, what people that have birthdays on it's a leap year, by the way. It's the 29th while I'm recording this. If you have a leap year birthday, I want to hear from you. What do you do to celebrate? You celebrate on the 28th or the 1st? Are you like 4 or are you 20? What's going on? Wait, 16. It's early. When you're laughing at something and someone tells you it's funny, it's not funny. Sorry, it makes it 10 times funnier. It's true. Can't face backwards. Standing on a staircase. Whoa. You're either going up or down. So because it's a leap year, there's some 72-year-olds turning 18 today. Yeah, baby. Take that. You don't actually bite down on anything since you're bringing up your lower jaw. Yeah. If you have to ask someone if they're okay, they probably haven't been for a while. Oh, sad. There needs to be a TV mashup of Undercover Boss and 60 Days In, where CEOs live on the income of their lowest paid full-time employee. Ha, I love that. Dreams could be alternative universes bleeding into ours through time and space. I've always thought that. Always wondered that, not thought that. Closest thing to piloting the Millennium Falcon is to drive the interstate while it's heavily snowing. Big time. 100 years ago, seeing a child play Beethoven was an experience you'd remember for the rest of your life. Whereas nowadays, you'd only watch it for about 10 seconds. God, our society's gotten sad, hasn't it? If the world would have had the same reaction to the dangers of cigarette smoking as heart disease, as they do to coronavirus, we'd probably save a lot more lives. Yeah, that's true. You don't need to panic about everything, guys. But, everything is just as important. With Wolverine's crazy fast healing ability, he could feed an entire village of cannibals for the rest of their lives. Yeah, just take a little bite. There are probably millions of epic stories that were never written because the author gave up before finishing them. Oh. Yeah. Insulting people by saying they have a small dick is an insult to good people with small dicks. A lot of bad people with big ones, Dogs probably feel extremely popular at parties with a lot of introverts. Oh, so true. It's only a matter of time before somebody hates on Guinness World Records for having different male and female records. The most irritating thing heard by people born on the 28th of February must be, you're lucky you weren't born one day later. My roommate was born on the 28th. I should ask her that. Water tastes so much better in the middle of the night. Yeah, baby. It does. Insults are a psychological spell that only works on soft-hearted people. Yeah, nerds. Works on me. It works on me. Whoa. One day we'll search up the Mandela effect and search results will show no results. Oh, I hate that. Backwards of Surrey is Iris. Maybe she's part of an eye who's watching the other's privacy. Scary stuff. You can taste your skeleton anytime if you lick your teeth. Gross. Sneezing is supposed to clear out your nostrils, but all that gets cleared is your mouth. True. People think the world is ending now, but imagine what people were thinking when they were born into living through both world wars. People born today, February 29th, will most likely never live old enough to smoke. Technically, yeah. Bagged potato chips are one product that no one cares if delivered with broken pieces inside. Yeah. I mean, we do care. But, we find we can't complain. All right, so that's it for these, I think. Yeah, I think that's it for our shower thoughts this week. So please, thank you. Thank you for listening to the Weird News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'd like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show, write a nice review, and rate the episode. That helps us. And please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you so much, and have yourselves a great night.